What time is it, Alex? Is it time for the State of Podcasts?
It's time for a podcast. What did you do?
I just dropped my pop. My chair just hit into it. Anyway, it's Christopher Nolan this week.
This is a shambles.
This is Christopher Nolan
We
this
have a
week.
guest. Sorry, I just straight away just did to say we have a guest.
Once again.
At this point, is the guest me?
I mean, I've been on, what, 3 of
Horrible
these
to
so
have you
far?
back, David.
I know. If only I couldn't come back.
I don't know
We
what
just
this is.
put you away somewhere. Anyway, Christopher Nolan. No, we thought we needed a third opinion. Or Alex did.
I like to include people.
Alex, big fan of inclusivity.
Well, the weird thing
That's
is,
what
this when we talk about Nolan, we're probably not going to talk about the Dark Knight trilogy simply because
We did it.
not even we did it. We didn't really. I kind of want that to be. We'll do something on that later in the year. Not this year, obviously.
The year's over.
Yeah, that's why I said this. Anyways, right.
Is it bad that the
Just a
Dark
mic.
Knight trilogy is half of the Christopher Nolan movies I've seen?
Oh, it is, isn't it? Right enough,
Yeah.
it actually is half. I was thinking, oh, is it more than half? Or... No, just for clarification, we won't be talking about Nolan's first two movies, Following and Insomnia, as no one here has seen them, including myself. So we're mainly talking about Memento
Onwards.
onwards. Well, Insomnia was in between Memento and Batman Begins.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
You didn't know that? See, this is what I mean by this is why we're not talking about them. That reaction alone. But it was the main reason we're doing this is obviously Tenet's finally out. Me and Adam, you have seen it, haven't you, Adam?
Unfortunately, yes.
We have differing
like to see that.
opinions. There will be a pocket shorts of the Tenet review out tomorrow. Look forward to that review. Oh dear, David, you haven't seen it.
I have not, no.
You haven't seen it yet.
I
No.
haven't. No. I've been
saved
waiting.
yourself.
It's not bad, right? This is why, right? We're not talking about Tenet today because, well, anyways, main reason we're really talking about this.
Last
is
time me
'cause-
and Alex disagreed on something that we both watched for one of these podcasts. The video required heavy editing.
yeah, well, we might be doing that again this evening. Anyways, so, well, like, the main reason we are doing this is, right, Tenet's technically finally out because people are actually going to watch it now. I have a Blu-ray copy, finally out. Didn't really do well at the box office.
Well,
All things considered, well, to be fair, all things considered, it did do very well.
under the circumstances.
Yeah. It was just the fact that the budget was over 200 million and
It wasn't a superhero film.
well, no, the problem was it had to basically make a 100%, but it basically had to make $1 billion to break even.
And it was never going to break even. It
the
was never
problem-
going to make $1 billion.
Well, no, because the problem is there's only 3 Nolan films that have broke $1 billion. Yeah,
What, The Dark Knight?
Dark Knight and I think Inception did so, and
I
then
think Inception
Rises.
made $1 billion.
No, I think it did. It didn't make as much as Dark Knight, but it did make $1 billion. Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing to do. I mean, how much expectations were they having for it?
I mean, how much did Dunkirk make?
Not a lot. They've progressively made less and less the more he's been making films ever since
I
The
thought
Dark Knight
Dunkirk
Rises.
did really
Yeah, I
well.
was going to say, the farther away he's getting from the Dark Knight, I think
Oh
it's just
no,
getting...
it did well. It just didn't make $1 billion, is what I'm saying. Like it didn't,
This movie, it was definitely a ballsy film. Most of his films are quite ballsy. to be
Which
fair.
one? Tenet. I
Yeah.
think Tenet would have. I think had Tenet released when it was meant to release, it would have been good because it would have been. It is a Bond. It's Nolan doing a Bond film basically, and Bond would have come out what, March or April, and then
No, Time to Die was supposed to come out in April.
yeah, April, right, and then we would have had Tenet by what June, I think. So it's kind of enough kind of time where people would still kind of have hype for those kind of
Yeah.
movies. So like
I'd
I
say if
Go on.
Especially after Bond, people would be more into like that spy film kind of mood.
Well, that all depended on how Bond was received.
Actually,
If
very true.
if Bond was shit and bombed, people would have kind of gone off of it.
Or maybe they would have went to see Tenet because they've had their fingers burned.
Want something good.
Yeah. Because it did get really good reviews, in fairness.
Yeah, because after Spectre, we had the Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly. Like. Yeah, because Mission Impossible. Yeah. We must do Mission Impossible someday. Probably when the new one is coming out. Just because I kind of want an excuse to watch all of them. You know what I mean?
I think I've seen all of them, bar the first one.
Yeah. I mean, we're quite a ways off until the next one comes out anyway.
Yeah, it's only filming now.
Yeah, it's still currently filming.
Anyway,
we'll get
back on Nolan.
back to Memento.
So we're going all the way back to Memento.
We are going to basically talk about... I think this is going to be the start of many sort of directors. I assume we'll do a Tarantino someday. Don't know when, but I assume we're going to just... This is going to be like almost the state of directors sort of a playlist in a way. But yeah, we're basically going to start and kind of look through their career of the films we've seen and give our opinions on them. What we like, what we don't like. I know some of us disagree in some films more than others. Mainly me and Adam and Interstellar and Tenet.
No, we agree on Interstellar.
Yeah, I suppose. But there's some things we do. Meh. Slightly. Not majorly. It's mainly Tenet. It is mainly Tenet, I will agree.
Maybe a bit of Dunkirk?
A little bit Dunkirk, yeah.
Inception.
No, we kind of all agree on Inception, don't we?
What, the last third?
Yeah.
It's...
Well, no, we don't want to get...
Memento.
Yeah, Memento.
Released September 5th, 2000.
I love what you're saying this now. Do you have like the Wikipedia up there?
I have looked it up on Google, starring Guy Pearce as Lenny.
Well, no, the weird thing is about Memento. God, I love it. Actually,
this guy. He's here, all right.
Lenny! It's Leonard.
Right, you see right there? That was actually funny dialogue there, wasn't it? I put in the wee clip there.
God, I love that clip. Never gets old.
Classic, yeah, we totally heard that clip right there now, didn't we? All good.
God, it's great.
Anyways, but Memento as a whole, sort of the foundation of Nolan in a way. I think a lot of these films with directors like, you know, like Bottle Rocket for like Wes Anderson and Tarantino with, you know, mainly Pulp Fiction more so than Reservoir Dogs. Their early films, especially like their first ones, really established them and their techniques and what their kind of style is.
Oh yeah.
And I think you really see that with Memento. Like everything in Memento doesn't feel off if you've seen every Nolan film and you watch Memento last. It doesn't feel off in any way.
It was one of the more recent ones I've seen that I hadn't seen.
It was the first one I've seen that wasn't the Dark Knight trilogy, so
fair enough.
It was a great way to get an actual feel of what his style was just from that one movie.
Because I think it's stuff like with the Dark Knight trilogy, yes, you do get his taste and flavour. I love like directing and stuff.
The Dark Knight.
Yeah, but
yeah.
You don't really acknowledge it because you just sort of associate it with that trilogy. If you hadn't seen his other films.
Character.
So
Not
I think
so much Batman Begins though. Batman Begins doesn't feel very Nolan.
No, that feels very David Esquire.
Yeah, but Memento, well received when it came out. Not big budget. Didn't make much money.
Well, no, it was
but
actually
it's
weird.
gained something of a cult following.
Well, not even a cult following. It was really weirdly received because the concept of it came about when the two Nolans. Jonathan Nolan, the best Nolan, and Chris, obviously. I think Jonathan was in college at the time in America, and they basically had to go across country moving Jonathan's stuff from I can't remember where, but it was basically a road trip back and forth, and they both basically at the start of the journey and by the end they both come up with the entire concept of the entire film.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that?
I don't know much about Nolan.
Well, you know, basically came up with this because Jonathan had written a short story, And that short story is actually, you can look it up on the web. I'll have a link in the description of it. You can actually read the whole original short story. But since it wasn't a published short story, Memento's script or screenplay is considered original because it hadn't been published the short story hadn't been published till after the film came out. So that's why, like, when it came to the Oscars, because it was nominated for Best Original Screenplay. But Memento is weirdly, it is one of those films that is so original, in a way.
Yeah, it definitely took me by surprise just going into it. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it in that way, like something done that way.
And, like, that's why, I mean, personally my favourite. I don't know about yous, but...
Definitely, it's definitely one of my
definitely
top
up there.
ones, but it's definitely up there.
But I think it's
For
just...
Nolan more so his films that it's not as much my top. It's like films I really like, and then films I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah. I think he's a bit rocky in some areas, although...
Yeah.
I think he's been rocky recently for me.
Not even I suppose. I think it's mainly... I'm not sure. I think he's at his best when he's collaborating with his brother.
Yeah.
And he's at his worst when he's collaborating with other people or by himself. Like, I'm going back to Tenet, but there's only one kind of complaint I do have with Tenet, and that is Nolan's really bad at exposition in that film.
And audio mixing.
The only thing I've actually heard about Tenet is that the audio is dreadful.
See, I don't think... Because I need to rewatch it.
Right, let's wait till we get to Tenet, because we're going to have this argument and it's going to go on for the entire hour.
This will be an hour-long argument.
One last thing on... It gave... Guy
Memento?
Pearce's career. Memento
Yeah.
Guy Pearce's career.
Because, like, even though he had been in some stuff like LA Confidential, he hadn't been, like, that big kind of... Like, he was a model, obviously, and stuff before, but he was never, like, considered to be, like, this big A-lister in a way.
Originally it was going to be Brad Pitt playing the role, but he had to drop out. So you can kind of see why they chose Guy Pearce to fill it in.
Yeah. Well, it's actually weird, because, like, Nolan's first choice... Can you guess who Nolan's first choice for the actual role of Letty was?
Who?
It was Alec Baldwin. It's such a strange... I don't know, it just seems very weird to me. But, like, there was a ton of people up for the role. There was, obviously, you said Brad Pitt there. There was Alec Baldwin, Guy Pearce, and... Oh, I can't even remember the last one. But they're all sort of, like, very similar. And then it's like, Alec Baldwin?
Aaron Eckhart.
Aaron Eckhart, yeah, that was it. Which I can see at the same time. I could see him doing it.
Yeah, but I think the movie ended up pretty well.
Oh, yeah, no disagreement. But I was just saying, like, had, you know... Guy Pearce not been available, I understood why they would have cast Eckhart. Like, but Memento, I like. There's not much we can talk about because there's not really wrong. Yeah, and
you have to watch
you
it.
can't really talk about it without spoiling it, and I don't really want to spoil it too much.
But off of the back of Memento, no, he didn't. I was about to say he got Batman Begins, but as I was corrected earlier, he didn't. He did a film in between.
Insomnia, which Insomnia, very weird because no one realizes it's a remake of the Swedish film. Swedish film came out in 1998, I believe, and Nolan was a big fan. He was like, "Yeah, I really want to do this," and he sent the guy who wrote the book that's based on. He sent him a copy of the Memento script. Because he was filming Memento at the time, so he sent him the script. He also sent him a copy of Following, his first film, just as like a way of can I just please make this film? Because if you like at this time, if you think about it, Nolan wasn't anyone. All he had done was made Following, which was a film that he basically funded himself. All his friends were basically in it. It did well at film festivals, but never really was actually a big theatrical release film. And then you go to, like, Memento hadn't even released, so there was no sort of... Nolan wasn't a name yet. So it was just... It was a big gamble to hire him.
Wait, so when did his Insomnia come out?
2002, so that was 2 years after Memento.
So that'll be 4 years. Wait, really? 4 years after the original, and they remade it?
Yeah.
Well, it's in English.
Well, yeah, it was.
Right.
Yeah, it was a foreign film originally, and then
Yeah.
they did it for America, and it like had Al Pacino and Robin Williams as the main two characters.
Oh.
And the whole film is basically, I can't remember. It is about a cop's trying to fight get this killer, but he suffers from insomnia, and the entire I can't remember, but like the entire time, there's no night cycle in the entire film apparently.
Oh, really?
Because just for some reason the town doesn't have a night cycle. Oh, it's a really weird concept. I need to watch it. But obviously with the success of that, he was able to... Well, before we even get on the Batman Begins, he was going to... Howard Hughes, a big character in not just cinema, or early cinema, but in aviation, who Tony Stark is based off of. Nolan had written a script about, like, a biopic for him, like, about him, and he was gonna do it, and Scorsese announced that he was making The Aviator with Leonardo DiCaprio, so Nolan basically didn't have a chance to make his biopic, and then instead of, he did, because he couldn't do that, he decided to do Batman Begins. Which is really weird, because, like, I think that was a key, like, had he been making that, he wouldn't have made Batman Begins.
That's weird to think about.
It is a weird world to think about, isn't it?
God, what an alternate reality.
Like,
that
it
would
was an afterthought, Batman Begins. But Nolan was very inspired by the Donner films to actually do Batman Begins. That was actually one of the main reasons why he wanted to do it then.
Really?
The Superman films, yeah. But we'll sort of wrap it up nice and sweet for Batman Begins, should we? Like, just at least
I
touch
think
on
we'll
it.
skip it.
You think?
I think,
it does deserve its own thing, in a way.
but off of the back, Batman Begins, so that we had basically a run of Nolan where he would be able to have quite a big budget film that he wanted to make after doing a Batman film.
Yeah, and we saw that with, like, the other two films as well later on.
Yeah. So the first one of these was The Prestige, which came out in 2006 after Batman Begins. And yeah, The Prestige it was based on a book, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, The Prestige was a book.
Yeah.
There was a big fight about it.
The Illusionists, isn't it? Is that the
No.
other film?
It was because Sam Mendes wanted to do it, and he was an established director. Like, he did American Beauty and stuff. Recently did 1917, as well as having done
Skyfall. And
Skyfall.
Spectre.
And,
He's done a lot of
Spectre.
stage work as well.
oh yeah, but the guy who wrote the book, he was like, oh, I don't know, like, what's the story, like, who do I get? And then Nolan really wanted to do it. Another situation where Nolan really wanted to do it, and the guy chose Nolan over him because mainly because he liked the idea of a young director rather than an established one taking on it, to see, like, a very different style.
Yeah, to get a different approach.
Yeah, and, like, that was, like, one of the main reasons. Obviously Jonathan Nolan adapted it. Jonathan Nolan's very good at adapting. We see that in his later work, such as, like, Westworld, the new Fallout show coming out, which I assume will be good because Jonathan Nolan's very good at adapting, and obviously stuff like Dark Knight Rises basically being based on Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens. It's very, very apparent from that that's what it's based on. But it is a very... I'm not sure about that because I've not read the book adaptation-wise. Really good film, very underrated in terms of Nolan.
My favourite Nolan film.
It is.
I know,
yeah.
David, it's yours
David
too.
Hughes, the same.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
So David saw this film for the first time last summer, and it's very funny because you could just see the gears turning in his head as he was watching it.
Yeah, like, whenever I was watching it, because we watched it right after Memento, and I was
Yeah.
watching The Prestige, and my mind was kind of fried. So I was going through the movie trying to figure out what was happening.
I do
And
love.
it was... Go on.
Oh, I do love the fact that we all watched them together, and we were watching. It was basically we were watching almost like a 3 Nolan films. Well, I was going to say trilogy, but 3 Nolan films. We're watching Memento, Prestige, and Inception. And me and Adam, before we watch it, we're like, the head will be fried. But when we're watching Inception, Inception turned out to be the easiest watch of the 3 films.
Not a great film. Not a great film.
But we'll get into that later.
Yeah, but I going through the entirety of the Prestige, I came up with my own theory on what was happening because I missed one line in the movie that kind of.
Did you?
Yeah, because remember afterwards, whenever we watched it, I was going through it and I came up with my own theory.
David was so certain. We took a break in the middle and David was like, I know where it's going. He was like, yeah, I think I know where it's going. It's going here. Like,
we didn't want to say anything because we had seen it already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I missed one line that kind of foreshadowed the ending.
Want to do a
And whenever the
spoiler
ending
warning?
happened.
Do you want to say it?
Yeah, well, I just want to have a spoiler warning.
It's not like
here.
it's Tenet.
No, it's not like it's
Tenet,
but I do want to at least call that right. This is a spoiler warning.
David, would you like to say what your theory was?
Oh god, it's been that long. I don't even think if I can remember my theory.
All right, cut out this bit.
I really don't even know if I can remember. It was that long ago. Like.
But you were shocked at the actual ending.
Oh yeah, because it took me by surprise. Like,
I think the ending's more shocking to you because you thought something else.
yeah,
I think that was the kind of main reason
I
why
think
it's
it
more
made it
shocking.
I think it made it even better though. Because whenever it happened, I was like, "Oh my god, what? This is great."
It's a very good film.
Oh yeah.
Because there's not really a weak link in it. People give Scarlett Johansson a really hard time for her performance.
Really?
Not really
I didn't
too.
think she was
Yeah,
that bad.
yeah. Oh no, people say that they don't like the film because of her performance.
I mean, she's not really in it that much.
No, I think it's mainly it's not the performance; it's more of the accent. People are more irritated by.
Oh yeah.
I can't understand.
It's not that.
It's not bad. It's
enough.
just very. It's just distracting because it's Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, you
That's my
can't-
only problem with it.
You do
But I'd say it's
notice
more
it.
of an issue now than back then.
Well, people did
Oh, yeah.
complain about it then because, well, no, she was an actress then.
She was a big star, but like now she's like $1 billion star.
Yeah, but she always had that
Yeah.
smoky voice. You know.
Oh yeah, she always sounds like she has a cold.
So like that's kind of why it is very jarring in a way. It's like seeing Gal Gadot in the Death on the Nile
Death on the
trailer.
Nile.
Like I think that's
Playing
I think that's the exact same sort of comparison in a way. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Our two leads in Prestige, though. Because I would like to say our two leads carried the film, but like, there's not really a weak link in it.
Well, no, that's very
they're
character
very
driven
strong.
film.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's not like, yeah.
Like-
But everything else is still really good in the film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bale and
it's-
Jackman are amazing in their roles.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Well, Bale obviously never done a bad, never done anything bad, never done any bad role.
And Jackman, when he tries, can be really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, my whole thing is, I don't think Jackman really tried, because if you think about it, I think that's what made it really good, because he was just like, oh, sure. Because at this time, Nolan, again, still pretty much, like, when they were filming this, Batman Begins hadn't come out. Batman Begins hadn't come out yet. Obviously, there was the press release for Batman. You can kind of tell, because Bale's a bit, he's a bit Batman Begins-y looking in the film. Sort of build-wise.
Yeah.
You can tell he hasn't slimmed down yet. You can it's mainly his face. You can really tell. It's always the face and the neck for Bale. But I think it's because Jackman was just like, oh no, sure, I'll just do this. It'll be fine. Like, because like Flushed Away came out that year.
Oh
This
god.
was before mega star Hugh Jackman. He was a big
Yeah.
star at this point, but this wasn't the man who was selling out a fucking world tour.
But I even think with Bale it's the same, because Bale even hadn't really been that big.
Yeah, but
star
even
yet.
now, I wouldn't say Jackman's a much bigger star than Bale.
Oh, obviously,
Well, when did the third X-Men movie come out? It came out before.
2007.
Oh, so it was a year
But
after.
if you
the
think
Switch?
about it, Jackman had like superhero movies. weren't
Jackman
that big
was
at the
only
time.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, X-Men was big. Like, it was big.
No, but
it's
what I'm
not
saying
like-
is, it was just like, it was only two like superhero. It was big in the equivalent of, right, Batman Begins is big, but
And Spider-Man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like, oh, this changed my career yet. Like, like what it
Well,
became.
no,
like-
it already did change his career.
Oh, I
What
know that,
Brandon
but what I'm
did,
saying
yeah.
is, like, compared to, like, what he
No.
was like around the time of when the Wolverine was coming out and, you know, Days of Future
Yeah,
Past,
yeah.
and I'm talking about that equivalent
Greatest
of it in a
Showman.
way. Yeah. Where he is, like, right, no, he can be in the film and people will be like, oh, that's Hugh Jackman. Except for...
Another
Sweet
weak
Pam.
link people call about this film is Nikola Tesla.
Oh yeah.
I do understand, because it is a bit jarring. David Bowie's not doing a very good job, I have to say. No
It's
offense.
because they needed someone who was larger than life to display
Yeah.
to show that Tesla
Yeah.
was like that. So I completely understand. You're supposed to kind of have that reaction.
I understand. It's
I
just...
think it was just
I wish Bowie
it's just because
put
of-
a bit more
Although I
effort into
did
it.
kind of ruin it for David when he first appeared.
What do you mean?
how.
So when he first appeared, remember I played a clip through my phone.
Meme school.
Meme school.
Well, I'm gonna
I mean-
add that in now.
Yeah, I mean, it was just. I think that the only thing that was really jarring about it was just the fact that it was Bowie, and I was not expecting Bowie to be playing Nikola Tesla in any way. I think it was like the last thing I was expecting.
I think it's not the jarringness of him being in it that's my problem. It's just him. His acting's pretty bad. No
Yeah.
offense. No, it's just
I mean,
the accent. The accent's the main problem. It's like you're
Wasn't
supposed
Nolan
to be
also
Serbian.
he was gonna not make the film if he couldn't get Bowie?
Yeah,
oh god.
I know it's a bit weird, but yeah, he probably says that now. Though I think there's a lot of things people can say in hindsight that aren't actually true. It's just because you can say it in hindsight now that people will believe you.
Yeah.
Actually, do you want to retroact? Actually, no. I was gonna say, well, we give them a rating out of 10 each film, but I just think that's not gonna end well.
No, I don't think it's kind of hard to judge because I have a whole listing of how I rate a film, and I really have to kind of go on to it.
Fine. It's fine. Of course,
Not really
following The
necessary,
Prestige, Nolan made the biggest film of his career,
Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight. I put it as one of the greatest films of all time.
Oh, I would agree with you on that. 100%.
Objectively, one of the greatest films of all time. I love The Dark Knight. I do prefer Prestige, personally, but
I think the Prestige is a lot more enjoyable, in a way.
I think
like,
it's just because I've seen it a lot less.
Yeah, I mean, like if you just go through the Prestige, thinking of it like whenever you pitched it to me the first time, you just said it's just two magicians trying to one up each other and mess up
Yeah,
each
I
other's
always
acts and stuff.
actually going back to Prestige. I do always say it's like the greatest example of escalation in a film.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
What, two people one up on each other basically the whole time?
Yeah, and it just keeps going up and up and up.
I
And
mean,
they're pushing the boundaries.
I don't agree with the whole objectively Dark Knight's one of the greatest films of all time. I don't think objectively that's fair. I'd say subjective. Yeah, I don't think objectively is the right word for it. No, because there's a lot of films that,
Yeah.
we all
We don't
haven't
need to
seen.
We don't need to get
Especially,
into this.
I'm just saying objectively is not the
This is
best.
what
I wouldn't
Alex
put it
gets
that
for
way.
this. Anyway,
this could be
so
another argument for another time.
following The Dark Knight, big success. Nolan got to make another film he wanted to make. Inception. In 2010, I want to say.
Well, actually, before I say this, before we get into Inception, after the release of Dark Knight, we saw what I like to call, and Adam, I'm sure you'll agree with me, the effects of the Dark Knight. And what that basically is anyone would go and see a Nolan film at that point. Because at this point, no one really went to watch The Prestige. Prestige didn't do that well.
Even Batman Begins didn't do that well.
Yeah, it's like I think it's like I know it's probably something like Batman Forever did better than it.
Yeah.
But especially Dark Knight, it was this is mainly people's big film that they were introduced to.
Well, I remember when Dark Knight came out,
Christopher
everyone
Nolan.
was talking about The Dark Knight. Everyone.
Yeah.
Oh well, there was hype for even before it had come out, like that it was the
Yeah, but
the
it was
biggest film this
everywhere.
year.
And the
like-
advertisements were everywhere. I remember the Burger King. They did the Dark Knight Whopper. I
Yeah.
think it was.
Yeah. They always
It's just
come
like the
together.
regular Whopper, but it's just Dark Knight themed stuff.
But like what we saw after this was the effects known, and it really bleeds into Inception.
It completely blew his ego, though, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think it definitely changed people's perception of Nolan, where you get a lot of fanboys who think that just because Nolan's done something,
It's brilliant.
it's good.
Yeah.
It's You can definitely see it in Inception, but we'll get more into it later on. So, good cast, though. Very good ensemble cast.
Oh yeah.
DiCaprio, Ken Watanabe, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Elliot Page, Cillian Murphy, Michael Caine. The usual Nolan crowd and some extras.
I don't think there's a bad performance in the movie at all.
No, I don't think it's the performance is the problem. I think it's mainly
People not having enough to do.
not even that. I think it is a more of a problem with the pacing, mainly in the third act. Well, no, it's mainly just the pacing in
Pacing's
general.
not the fun. So the problem is they start the heist too early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the entire first act should have been them just describing everything, just nothing but
Getting
it should have been
everything
world
set
building.
up.
Because we run into an issue of when we get into the actual heist, they're still explaining stuff to us. It's like, no, that should be
Yeah.
done. That should be done. The heist should be the second, third act, but they start the heist, I want to say, in the first act.
No, it's right. First
Or is it
act
the second
ends, second act starts, and it's the heist.
Yeah, I think you needed some more time.
The whole first act is just building up this thing straight away, and it's like, wait, whoa, hold on, what's going
Yeah.
on? I think the main problem is there's really too much going on for this film, and it's not paced. It has a bit of Spider-Man 3 syndrome in a way, where
Yeah, it
it's
just
like, right,
doesn't
you
take
have
a
like
breath.
Yeah.
so many storylines basically fighting each other for the spotlight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I really don't care for the storyline with his wife.
No. I mean, I do like it in the fact that it does give Cobb a character development. And even
Yeah.
it weirdly, he's the main character. But at the start, they try and make you believe that Elliot Page is...
Yeah. Because you think that she's going to be the one that you kind of follow through because she's new
David?
to it. Oh, sorry. My apologies.
Well, actually, no. What he did
Nah,
identify as.
that's
shit.
well, just Elliot
Let's
Page.
leave there. Elliot Page.
Page.
What did I say? Elliot Page.
Okay, so are we referring
Elliot,
him?
yeah, he's
Okay,
the
yeah,
man.
I completely forgot about
It's okay,
that.
it's okay. We're going on. It's okay. Let's just stride on it. Elliot Page.
Okay, I can't remember what I was saying. Oh yeah,
They make you think that he's going to be the main character.
Anyways,
Yeah.
On purpose. Every time I do this.
just
It's
let's
something
just
I'm
no.
thinking in
Let's
terms of the movie.
anyways. So Elliot Page.
But yeah, so you're going through it thinking that he is because he's the person that you're following and he's new to everything.
Yeah.
So you think that he's going to be your like eyepiece into all this new like stuff going through like the dreamscape and everything, but it kind of isn't because you're still
No.
mostly.
It's only the
following
first
Leonardo.
acts from his perspective.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
The
like
character's female?
no. Just
What do we say?
talk about it.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
It's
Just
just-
talk
But
about
it's a
it.
female.
I don't know. I
character.
don't know the rules. Can we just continue?
What are the rules? What are the rules?
See, this is so.
This is bad. I'm getting worried.
Like it's so hard to think of because I'm trying to remember what
Right.
happened
Anyways,
in the movie.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
This is a shambles.
Oh yeah. Also, first, was this the first movie that didn't have Jonathan?
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
He didn't write it.
No.
Did he not?
Nope.
You sure?
Well, not that I can see.
No, he didn't actually. Now I think about it, because he only did Dark Knight Rises, Interstellar.
I don't think he did Rises.
No, he did Dark Knight Rises.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
He wrote Dark Knight Rises.
Okay. So he didn't do Inception. Inception came first.
Is it the first film? No, because he didn't do
He didn't
Batman
do Dark
Begins.
Knight Rises.
He didn't do Batman Begins.
Rises. He didn't do any. He didn't do Dark Knight Rises either. It was Goyer helped Nolan.
You sure?
Yeah. No, he did the screenplay. His story
Yeah.
was by Goyer, but he did the screenplay.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Oh, word me. See, because he did Memento, right? basically did Memento technically, because they did do the short story, and they did sort of work on the script together. Did Prestige, did Dark Knight, did Dark Knight Rises, Interstellar. That's it. I'm okay with that.
Anyway, back to Inception. So
Yeah.
I think people overrate this film a little bit, and people are always like, "Oh, you just..." If you ever tell someone that Nolan fanboy that you don't like Inception, they usually say something like, "You just didn't understand it." It's like there's not much to understand. It's quite a simple, straightforward film.
Yeah, because whenever I was going into it, I was expecting it to be like, because I know that there's a lot of thing about it where it is kind of hard to understand.
Yeah.
It's very like it messes with your mind and all. But I went into it, and I knew exactly what was happening. It was so easy to follow compared to something like Memento.
Or even The Prestige.
Yeah, it was actually
even-
weirdly
or
enough
even
that the
Prestige.
smaller films were actually
Yeah.
more big scale than the actual big scale film.
Like afterward, I was like, I don't really understand how people can have a problem with this movie because it was fairly straightforward. It's just
And the third
there's
act
lot
is a
of-
drag.
Third act is the biggest problem with the entire thing.
I think it's fine until you get to the third act. Until you get to whenever they go to the
Snow.
military compound.
Yeah.
It's
just not needed. We
everything
don't
hits
need
the
a big
brakes.
action set piece.
No, it was perfectly fine without it.
No, I know why they have this action set piece to make it feel more threatening. Like, right,
Yeah.
there is actually a big rush and a risk in this.
'Cause they
That's
needed-
kind of the only
yeah.
purpose of it.
But I think the car chase worked a lot better because it was still kind of from the character's perspectives and not doing these like big establishing shots of the base.
Yeah.
Especially whenever that was happening at the same time. Whenever Joseph Gordon-Levitt was floating about the hotel,
Yeah.
Mm.
and every time it cut back to that, I would be like, "Oh, this is great," and then I'd go back to the snow, and I'd be like, "Oh, can you just go back to more of him floating about fighting people?"
I love what you said that, and
Yeah.
I was just like completely stolen from the animated film Paprika.
Oh, really?
Or when they go into limbo at the end of the film, I'm just a bit.
Yeah, you're like, "Oh."
I'm just quite ready for it to end.
Yeah,
And
no,
then they
my-
go into limbo, but they go into limbo, and then they go into Ken Watanabe's dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really weird. 'Cause, like, right, it would have been more sense had the whole film had either, because I do like DiCaprio's arc. I like realistically either you have that, and you just have the right, because that's meant to be the subplot. But then the main plot eventually becomes the subplot, and then that becomes the main plot, and it really
Yeah.
confuses. Like the stuff with Cillian Murphy, that entire plot line, I stop and forget about and don't really care about then, because
It's
that's
actually probably more interesting.
it is more
Yeah,
interesting. That's the
there's
start of the
no-
film.
I didn't feel like there was much investment in the whole in his wife's
No.
subplot. But then whenever like all the espionage stuff where they're trying to like implant thoughts into Cillian Murphy's head, I was like,
That's-
"Oh, can we just get more of
yeah,
this? Like this
yeah.
is what I want to see in this movie. It's something really
It doesn't
different
help
and cool."
that personally I'm not the biggest fan of what's her name,
Marion
what's her name?
Cotillard.
Marion. I think
You're not a fan of her? She's a great
Not in the
actress.
two Nolan film. Not in the two Nolan films I've seen.
Oh yeah, fair enough. She's a good
I don't think-
actress though.
In other stuff, I'm sure she's great. But in Dark Knight Rises and Inception, I don't. Inception, she's not really given enough to do. And
Yeah, I think it's just mainly what Nolan does with her is more the
Yeah.
problem.
I think that
Yeah.
there's like just at the same time in Inception, there's a lot more. I think there's too many characters doing too many different things as well. So
we
you
didn't
kind
need
of
that many
completely forget
characters.
about her. Yeah, like you can. I can every time
like
she came
Joseph
up, I'm like,
Gordon-Levitt and
"Oh,
Tom
she's
Hardy probably could have been one character.
Maybe.
Like I know
Yeah.
what Nolan was trying to do, and one thing I do like about Inception is it's basically based on film. You know, Cobb, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, is the director, and like Tom Hardy's character is the actor. That's why he plays different characters in the film and like portrays different characters. Remember?
Yeah.
And then I think it's like Elliot Page is like the set designer and stuff, and then Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is like the script writer, you know, stuff like that. Basically, it's
Yeah.
really interesting. If you like, I like that aspect of it, because it technically it works because it is like they've built and made this world. So that's why
Yeah.
I kind of like it, because it does feel like artists making something to do, you know. Basically, people doing a heist, but there are, you know, filmmakers.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's just like
There's, like, a
weird.
bit of
Like,
there's a bit of a craft to it.
Yeah,
amazing South Park parody of Inception.
Yeah, I've not seen
Yeah.
it.
I haven't either.
It's worthwhile. I think it's called in sheep. I don't know. It's something like they're trying to figure out the source of why Kyle is a hoarder.
Oh, is there limbo? Do they go into limbo then?
No, it gets fucking weird. Like, at one point, everyone just keeps going in. It don't have to. It's just a bunch of people coming in, seeing that what's happening, and it's going, okay, I'm going in. So it's like, at one point, a pizza guy comes in, and it's like, who ordered this? He did, but he's in his dream. All right, I'm going in. It's hard to watch.
But then, like, I think Inception's almost more important than The Dark Knight in terms of Nolan, because this is like when it became apparent that, right, Nolan wanted to do The Dark Knight Rises.
He so didn't want to do it. Yeah.
All he wanted to do was Inception films, which you've seen basically from
I had no
every
doubt
film
that
he's made
he
afterwards.
wanted to do a third Dark Knight at one point.
Oh,
there was
yeah.
a couple of issues. The fact that he liked making his own thing,
Yeah.
because like Inception was his first proper original film since
Memento.
and even that was like Jonathan.
Yeah.
But and then it was like, you had the fact that it was quite obvious it was setting up to have Heath Ledger in the third film, and then that didn't happen.
Sadly.
Unfortunately, and he did make Dark Knight Rises. I'm not a fan.
But I think mainly it's like, right, Nolan, right, every film I want to do is basically Inception. Right, went and did Interstellar after Dark Knight Rises. Then he
Jonathan
did
worked with him
Dunkirk.
on Interstellar. I just need to point that out.
Yeah, I know. I don't mind Interstellar anymore.
I don't like Interstellar. Alex has been flip-flopping since the summer.
Yeah, no, it's because like the first time I watched it, I didn't really like it, and I watched it again. I was like, oh, I kind of like. And then I watched it again. I was like, oh, I do like this. Like the more I watch it, I actually like it more. Weirdly,
It just
like I want to go to the
think-
cinema to watch it.
I think it's just a little overrated.
Oh, I'm not saying it's one of the best. Oh, I do think it's a very overrated film. I just really like it though.
People are like, it's a modern day epic. It's just like,
I do think it's very. I think it is a lot better than Inception. I do think.
I need to
like,
rewatch it.
it used to be on my list. Inception, like of my favorite Nolan films, Inception and Interstellar were tied at the bottom. Interstellar has gone up a bit, but like people saying, "Oh, Interstellar, oh, it's his best film." I'm like, "Oh, it's just not though."
No.
It's not his best. There's nothing really wrong with it. I think you do need to
Well,
rewatch
there's
it,
some
Adam, but
issues in terms of how it's on a technical scale and switching between IMAX and
that's only really apparent on the Blu-ray copy. When it comes to like if it was on Netflix, for example, you don't see that. I think it's more of what format you watch it in. I don't know whether it's the same case with a 4K copy of it, but I know it is definitely because I think that's why I started to like it more when I watched it the second time. I was like, because I wasn't watching my Blu-ray copy, I was
you watched the
watching
DVD, wasn't it?
I think it was a DVD, yeah, or maybe it was being streamed on Netflix. I think at the time. But that did me. I think I'll fucking love it if I go watch it in cinema. 'Cause I think, even though it's not one of my favorite Nolans, it's the one I want to watch the most in the cinema. Like, I can give or take The Prestige or Memento. I don't think you need to go
You
to
don't get
cinema to watch
anything
them.
out. You don't really get
No.
more out of those films from watching them.
I think Inception I wouldn't really get much out of. Interstellar's the only one.
Dunkirk. I think
Oh
Dunkirk
yeah,
would
no,
be-
but I've already seen Dunkirk. Like yeah, right. Yeah, no,
I've seen all of
Dunkirk,
these
go watch
in cinema from. Well, I watched Batman Begins and Dark Knight and
Yeah.
Rise.
Well, I don't really think. Oh yeah, you've recently done that.
No, I watched it a couple years ago, but I was like 9.
Yeah, I don't think that really counts.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to say too much into the spoiler territory because David hasn't seen it.
Which one?
Interstellar.
Most of them.
From here on out.
We're just gonna touch on them.
Made a lot less than Inception because it was riding the coattails of a less successful film.
But not even that. I'm thinking. Well, the thing with Dark Knight Rises is it's very mixed. Like it
A lot
is
of
more
people
of
like
like half people aren't really a big fan, half really kind of do like it.
I don't think anyone loves The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't think it's anyone's favorite.
It's kind of just there.
Although weirdly enough, it was recently voted the best of the trilogy from popular
Really?
vote. Yeah, from popular vote. I thought it was very weird.
That's bizarre.
That's weird.
Like it.
How did no one
familiar.
get the idea for Interstellar? Sorry, David, you finish off because we'll. Then
No, I was
probably-
just gonna say that for Dark Knight Rises, it's just kind of okay compared to the other two. It's just kind of.
I think it's an alright film, and I think it's bad compared to The Dark Knight.
Yeah, I think it's a detriment that it came after the Dark Knight in a way. Like, there's no way that they could.
Yeah, well, nothing was topping that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good, but it's no BVS.
All right, we're not getting into BVS. It's good, but it's no bull with Special K. Alex, do you know how?
Oh, I'm
Nolan
not
got
sure.
the-
I think it was mainly Nolan.
Becoming a father, wasn't it?
No, it's mainly when it comes to Nolan. He's really gone very scientific with his films now. Like,
Probably just what he's interested in.
yeah, no, I think it is because like Jeanette's entirely science based, and it is entirely possible to happen. Interstellar is the exact same situation, and so is Inception. They've actually looked into it, and there is actually ways. Obviously, we can't do it now, but it is technically possible. So he's
Yeah.
going really more scientific now with a lot of stuff, which I don't mind. I just wish, like, Dunkirk was a nice break. I wouldn't mind if he did like a very science kind of based film like those, then a break, then another one, you know, like that sort of a way.
Well, like then you have a Prestige, and every now and again.
Never
kind of
gonna
break it up a little
happen.
bit.
Never gonna happen.
See, that's what I think made this Prestige even better, because it's so unexpected what happens in a way. Like, you kind of thrown back, like, okay, this is. It's like kind of just separates itself from reality in a way.
Well, yeah, Memento's the exact same, because Memento's actually set in a fictitious world.
Yeah,
Weirdly
Memento
enough.
seems like something that could happen.
It does, but it's little stuff like the fact that, I don't know why this is a thing, but I was looking into it today, and it is kind of weird, but kind of, like, Memento doesn't feel real, and I've kind of realised that now, because there's stuff like Teddy's, I think his license runs out on the 29th of the 2nd, 2001, but 2001 isn't a leap year, but it is a Memento. There's stuff like that that's
Oh.
really weird, but I'm okay with it because Memento's very sci-fi, even though it doesn't feel like it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. I see what
Although,
you mean.
like, although it does feel real, it doesn't. It's very. There's a lot of things you do with Memento. You did
I
a
guess
lot of
it's
ways to
because of
look
the
at
way
it.
it's done, because you're going through it from the perspective of everything kind of going back on itself.
Oh, like, I agree with the Prestige. The Prestige feels like I have the exact same opinion on the Prestige as I do with Memento in terms of how you can perceive it. Like, you can perceive, oh, this is possible, but also
Yeah.
it's not, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Of the Prestige, definitely.
But I don't know, like, Nolan now is just... I liked that. It's just, I don't know.
What do you think of Dunkirk? Let's move on to Dunkirk.
Dunkirk, masterpiece in disguise.
I
know
think objectively Dunkirk's a good film. It's just not really my thing.
Yeah. Well, you haven't seen 1917, have you yet?
No.
It's
due
very
to
similar in terms of
unfortunate
the feel
event.
of it.
I wanted to see it, but it was taken from me.
It's just, I love the way he deals with... it's so Nolan in terms of, it's such a good way to portray a war where even though there are three, right, for example, David, there are three different timelines going on at the same time. One is set within a 2-hour time period. One is set within a 2-day period. And I think one is set between a 2-week period.
Yeah.
And they basically intersect. So like
does it cut between them?
yeah, so
Oh.
like it starts with
Ooh.
2 weeks, then it jumps to the 2-day one, then it jumps to 2-hour one, and then it goes back to 2-week one, and it keeps doing that until they all meet up at the end. and they
cool.
all are at the same time, and it's such an
Yeah.
interesting way because it's such a Nolan way of doing it, but it really works within a war standpoint. Like,
Yeah.
even though these are spaced weeks and days apart, they all feel simultaneous because in a war, time is really irrelevant.
Yeah, that's actually a really good way of putting it.
It's really interesting, yeah. I was just thinking about it there, and I was like, oh, it's so suspenseful, and I think why it's one of the best Nolan films and one of my favorites is there's not a lot of dialogue, so there's not a lot of exposition, and all the exposition is shown visually. It's not
Yeah.
telling you, and that's the best way to sort of that's. Some of the problems with Tenet, but Tenet kind of gets away with because it's a spy kind of film, and it's like, like, you can kind of get it's meant to be James Bond, basically. Right, Tenet's basically Nolan's James Bond.
It's Inception.
Yeah, right, that's the best way to look at his entire career. Memento is just Nolan, just doing Nolan, right?
Making a film.
Yeah, Dark Knight Trilogy is just Nolan's take on comic books.
Superhero films.
Yeah. Prestige is Nolan's way of basically dealing with how could you explain it? Not really. More of like period pieces
Yeah.
in a way, because it technically is a period piece.
Yeah.
Inception's more of his take on big action blockbusters. Then you have stuff like Interstellar, which is basically his take on Star Wars and 2001, right?
Well, is
2001 would be a
Inception
better
science?
example.
Is it in Interstellar science fiction or science fantasy?
What, Interstellar?
Science fiction.
It is science fiction.
Okay.
But I say it's influenced by Star Wars a lot because there's a lot of, like when you watch like A New Hope and you're like, oh, this is a worn world, like it's a world
Yeah.
that's lived in. It has that feeling.
Right.
Whereas 2001's, science-wise, 2001's very a lot more clean and sleek, Adam, isn't it? More than Star Wars.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think it's a nice blend of the both. That's
It's
why.
supposed to be more of a utopian world.
Yeah, like that's kind of why I say both, because it is like a blend of both. Like there is the real big sci-fi stuff, but there is also at the same time the worn world that, even though it is Earth, it doesn't feel like Earth. If you know what I mean. Like there's a lot of differences. And then Dunkirk's his take on war, essentially, his war film, and then Tenet's obviously his take on it, like espionage, James Bond. Imagine a Nolan Western. Oh, it's been done, Westworld.
I'd say a Western might be what he does next, though.
I mean, what else can he really do? Like, I don't really.
Well, there's a lot of I remember, I don't know if I told you, David, but I told Adam, I basically penned out and, like, completely structured an entire story, like a film, if Nolan did a horror film.
Really?
Yeah.
That was.
I'll send that to you later.
I wonder how that would go. A Nolan horror film.
It's like, right, my best way to explain it, it's like, you get Memento, and you get the structure of Memento, and you throw it into Friday the 13th. That's the only way I can explain it.
Yeah.
It's the only way I can explain it. Although I love a horror film, I don't think he'd do it. He did say, unfortunately, he wouldn't do a rom-com, as much as I'd love to see that.
God.
Maybe he'll do one of the Fast and Furious.
He
We
does say
can only
he loves
hope.
them.
He does
And
say he
Michael Bay
loves
films.
them. He did recently say he's a big fan, and he has a special place in his heart for Tokyo Drift. And I'm okay with, because it's the only one I've seen, so it's the only one I defend.
It's probably the best one.
Is it? That's okay
It's the only
then.
one I haven't seen.
Well, it's the only one I have seen, Adam. Adam, can we keep it like that?
It's surprisingly
I've never
enjoyable.
watched Tokyo Drift.
You never watched Tokyo Drift, I never watched the other one. It'll be awkward
yeah,
when we're
plus
doing
the
State
new
of
one.
Fast and Furious.
You've
Oh, yeah,
not
we'll do
seen
it
one,
when
Alex.
we
It looks
do that.
absolutely
Well,
absurd.
the new one. Oh no, I think I seen the trailer for the new one coming out.
Yeah.
It's
It's almost
right.
brother.
Right. right, I got like halfway through the trailer. I was like, oh, they've given away the entire film. And then the next half of the trailer was like, oh no, I actually don't know what the film's about.
Yeah.
I got very confused. But we did touch on Star Wars there. There will be. It's a sneaky reference to next week's podcast.
Oh God.
David, I think you'll be on for that one, will you?
More than likely.
Because right, you'll probably have to watch Mandalorian by then. New season Mandalorian.
I can probably get caught up.
Yeah.
By Friday.
That's okay. I mean, next week's podcast will be about. It will be obviously Stay Star Wars, and it will mainly deal with not just Mandalorian, and obviously the end of season 2, 1 year Rise of Skywalker, and we'll also be able to talk more about how we think the rest of Star Wars is going to be going. We have touched on it last week.
For that episode.
We did touch on it last week's episode with Stay Disney. But I assume we're
that
going
wasn't
to...
pocket shorts.
Yeah, no. It was a long pocket shorts that became a podcast.
Like that and how it was structured.
But no, I think that's pretty much it for Nolan. Yeah. Obviously, like and subscribe. Comment down below what you think we should do next. Also, we are plugging the Insta. Please follow at Stay Podcasts. And
that could be a link to it.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, and Pocket Shorts has also recently moved to Instagram, IGTV. So you can watch it there on the go. There's also it also has a new video accompanying it.
And we have the relaunch coming soon, so stay tuned.
Yeah, which we'll have a video up on either the 31st or 1st of January.
All right, see you next time. When we will be introducing a new game show.
Mm-hmm.